I don't think this will ever change. This relationship between follower, fan, for a person with a large number of eyes on them. There will always be a slight parasocial relationship.
If you put it out there, you're leaving room for it to be commented on. And if you don't have thick enough skin to hear that feedback and just like brush it off, then it's kind of your business, which is like bad to say, but it's like nobody told you to post anything.
What's a parasocial relationship mean?
I guess it's basically a relationship you form with someone online that you don't really know that well, but through them being someone that's very open, vulnerable, you get to kind of know them. So they're bits and pieces that you know about their life that kind of make them feel like a friend to you.
You know what's really interesting? I think this represents our slight generational gap, is you said it's online. My understanding of parasocial honestly comes from, the fact that people would have a relationship with celebrities through print or even TV.
True. I guess I never really thought about that. When you put it that way, I grew up reading magazines and stuff. So there is that kind of dynamic that's established there, but it really wasn't as grand in my opinion. Of course, with the limited knowledge I would know from how my generation uses media, but it really became a hot topic in my world when I would see it through how influencers and like more so creators, not so much celebrity. When I think about that relationship with a celebrity, for most of them, if you really think about it, you don't know that much about celebrities that don't have like a TV show or whatever. Like, I guess like before Will Smith started sharing stuff online, you don't really know much about Will Smith or them until they started making the podcast and stuff, right?
Yeah, the digital framework has really brought people closer. It's brought friends and families closer, but it's also brought the public closer to stars, whether they're celebrities initially, but now influencers and creators who film their lives constantly. People feel that they are part of those lives, right? And we've seen that in the rise of Twitch and YouTube, and even now with podcasting that's happening. Unlikely to happen with us. Hopefully, I don't want that. When I was growing up, a lot of magazines would give those detailed interviews or get to know these stars. I remember I'd have friends and you'd go over to their home and they'd have like not just posters, but they'd have like magazine clippings on the wall of the Backstreet Boys did like
the Jonas Brothers.
The Jonas Brothers talked to Teen Vogue about their favorite lunch. A friend would cut that out and put it on their wall. It's like, I really know him. He really loves a ham and cheese sandwich or whatever. I don't know. I think you're right that now with digital and the internet, you're not just getting to learn what someone you like or admire or follows favorite meal is. You're now watching them do those things. You're inside their homes, their spaces. There is a real closeness. I think with Twitch, you see that with like IRL streamers, folks who are just walking around on the street with a camera up or a camera crew. People are just approaching them. I mean, like, hey, like, what's up? Like, how's it going? Can I get a picture? And they just take a screenshot and they go on with their day. But the distance is so close that at times it no longer feels like a one-way relationship.
Have you ever met someone in person that you kind of got to know them online first?
I'll give two stories. One in a very small way, which is my freshman roommate. I got to know online first because our school, our college, like told us who you would be roommates with.
So you like search their stuff.
And we like found each other on Facebook. Back when Facebook was like the place to be. Our incoming class had our own Facebook group. Where everyone could like ask questions. What are you excited about? Where are you coming from? Blah, 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 blah. So my roommate and one of my best friends now, Aaron, not going to give his last name, we met online and started talking on Facebook, and we're like, oh, we're both like gamers and nerds, and we became kind of friends that way, so that when we met in person, we're like, wow, we kind of know each other already. This is weird.
You know what's so crazy? I also have a friend named Erin. I also won't share her last name, but I met her because in Toronto, you don't have as many creators posting vlogs and stuff, right? Like you do, but like obviously not to the extent of like the US. And because she shared so much about her life online, and I also shared so much about my life online, I already got the framework of like, okay, these are the things I look for in a person. That's what she looks for in a person. We think will already be a match. So we didn't even have a conversation at all. Like one day she just messaged and she's like, hey, would you like to like meet up for coffee or whatever we did? And I was like, okay, like I know I'm gonna like you. I already watch your stuff. That's like where I'm basically doing like my screening,
With some food creators and chefs I've met that way as well, where it's like, oh, I see that they're going to an event. Like, hey, I'm gonna be there too. It'd be great to like talk because we like a lot of the same stuff. I feel like it'd be good to talk in person. That feels healthy and normal in a way that I'm not sure is okay anymore.
Yeah,
like, is that okay?
Yeah, that's where it gets tricky because, like, it's interesting. You can justify it to an extent when, like, maybe you're both at the same kind of level or, like, you're both super local. But then where's the, you know, the gap when someone's a creator that has, like, millions of followers and then you're just the person that probably makes content but is not getting as much reach. So then to them you're like just another person.
You know what's really funny is that you're describing, hey, as a content creator, can I approach you as a content creator? And in a way, I think you always should be able to, because that's now business. That's now work. Now, imagine you were just someone who watches. You're a consumer, a follower, a fan. What is the degree to which you should approach at all? It's a very tricky question.
Yeah.
We're entering a space where people are truly opening up their full lives at times. We're seeing a lot of blowback happen where people comment online incessantly on people's relationships and, oh, they shouldn't have dated this person, or, oh, they're going to date this person, I feel they're going to be bad. And that felt like in the 90s that felt reserved for celebrities, and now it's applying to influencers who are kind of their new category of celebrity. Yeah. At what point can or should you not even... Like, how much distance do you need to build if you're not in the business or you're not trying to create a work angle?
Well, you see, that's the interesting thing. So even with when you mention like people commenting on people dating, I agree. Like you mainly see it happen when like it's a big creator and all their fans, viewers, audience, whatever, they're giving their opinions. But you even see it on smaller scales. So for example, there's a girl that posted something on TikTok the other day, and she's basically saying how her man won't buy her a bag or something like that. And everybody's commenting, you should leave him, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it became this whole thing for like a micro minute, as all trends last like a micro minute. You know, it became this hot topic of like these people having their opinions and telling her, you should leave your man because he clearly doesn't love you. And I have all my opinions as to why I'm looking out for you.
Here's
and
my trauma that's related.
Yeah, and like...
And you deal with it.
Yeah. And so you're right. Like, I think I've now come to this place where I'm like, if you put it out there, you're leaving room for it to be commented on. And if you don't have thick enough skin to hear that feedback and just like brush it off, then it's kind of your business, which is like bad to say, but it's like nobody told you to post anything, you know? And like that's this gap of like people thinking you need to put it out there because everybody puts everything out there, but you really don't need to. And it's like in the same kind of way, like imagine when we had less channels on the TV. If you come on like,
I didn't have to imagine. I lived through it.
No, right? Thanks. Oh, true. Well, I'm thinking like even like local. You know, I grew up in Jamaica, and like you have very limited channels unless you have international cable plans, right? So if you come on the local news channel and you say some ridiculous thing, the entire country is gonna see that. And they're going to make comments, and they can. You know, we even see situations where, like, things on the news become memes. You put it out there so we can mock it if we want. Or we can resonate with you and get you. But we can go in whichever direction we want. And, like, that's what you get for putting yourself out there.
That's true. I think there is, though, not blame on the creator, but when you have a small community, sometimes they also become very emotionally invested in your success, which can really be a positive thing and support, but then they also feel invested in every little thing you do. And as much as maybe commenting on something that's public is okay, delving into things that are then private feels not okay. And that line gets blurred, I think, as creators, as influencers become bigger, their fans become sleuths. Right? Like they start digging into like, oh, they're streaming together, but are they really together? Yeah. It's the new gossip mill, right? It's like XOXO.
True, but like if you also think of the game of content in itself, you're exploiting an aspect of your life to make money, just build a brand, gain recognition, whatever it is. So it is like kind of the trade-off that kind of comes with it. Like you gain from this. Because let's also be very frank. Like a lot of the creators, especially the big ones that make a lot of money, I mean, that gain a lot, that have a big audience and, you know, they have all these fans, they make a lot of money from that same fan base. So it's like the same people building you up are the ones that are kind of in control of your earnings. So I don't know. Again, I feel like it's like maybe because there's no official handbook of like, this is what you're walking into. Because, you know, it's one of those things where I can imagine as a creator, especially when you're starting to become famous and like you maybe thought you'd be a small creator and you become this big creator. Like, you had no idea what you were getting into, you know, which is the sad part because you might think it's like funny and whatever and it becomes this whole flip. But
I think what's really interesting is that more creators and even celebrities are starting to speak out about it and draw lines.
Yeah.
And actually maybe even put out rules about how they'd like to be approached and engaged with. And honestly, I think that's part of the solution. I don't think this will ever change. This relationship between follower, fan, and celebrity or influencer, or whatever the term is for a person with a large number of eyes on them.
Yeah.
There will always be a slight parasocial relationship, right? It'll always be one-sided because you're consuming their content and learning about their lives, and they're not doing the same with yours. There will always be new rules of engagement, and I think, to your point, it's on the creators, it's on the influencers, the celebrities, to kind of dictate the rules there and uphold them for each other. I think, you know, when Chaperone, you know, yelled at paparazzi, like...
Oh, she did.
People called her out, but she did what was right. Because also paparazzi are a different form of this, right? Like, they're feeding the relationship.
Is it different? You could kind of compare paparazzi to like how people that want to like hate on you act in the comments. They're just not in your face. It's kind of the same.
Because it's physical space versus digital space, right?
Yeah, but like if you're someone that's chronically online, where if you really think about it, like a lot of people spend more time online than like in their real lives, right? So that is like your physical, not physical space, but that is your space that you've like curated.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
I've never thought of it that way. I think it brings up also an interesting question, which is AI parasocial relationships. I think we've started seeing a rise in that little by little.
Like the AI influencers?
AI influencers and also like these AI chatbots that people are trying to like form actual relationships with. And, you know, when someone is just positive and gives you the feedback you want, it's easy and it sounds nice, but it feels like it's the next step in this digital pathway that honestly is truly scary to me.
It is. It really is. Like, even watching the content from the AI influencers, I was binging it the other day just to like see what's going on, and I'm like, it's kind of weird how interactive, engaging this content is, and I almost feel like there needs to be some kind of guideline on like how realistic the content feels.
I think there's also, so do you know what VTubers are?
No.
So VTubers are people who are streamers, but instead of streaming with their personal face and body, use some kind of anime or cartoon figure that maps to their body or face.
Okay.
Or something in that way. So it looks like an anime girl, and it has a human voice, but it's a different person doing it on the side.
Is that just set that way to help creator have their own like
I think there's a bit of anonymity that comes with it. I think there's also, you know, there's a large audience that loves just anime and cartoons that it also feeds into. I think there's a huge rise in that space, but the similarity between the rise in that and now the rise in like AI influencers is so interesting, and I almost wish that AI influencers came with warning labels to folks to be like, hey, this is AI. We need you to not believe this as strictly.
Well, so I guess, and this might be a question, but it seems almost like the VTuber world is kind of better in itself because it leaves room for the focus to be on the content and not the person.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like. I'm kind of pro because, you know, like I feel like maybe a lot of people would opt into that stuff. Like I feel like now we're in this space where a lot of people are putting themselves out there, kind of again going back to the fact that they want to exploit their likeness for whatever it is, primarily like money, right? And like even the brands, like a lot of brands are bringing in influencers to take lead on their content strategy, or like bringing in like actors, actresses to have shows so that they can play off like that parasocial relationship. And
I mean, the BT Awards I think had Kai Cenat there.
Oh really?
Aisha Speed has been on wrestling. Was that WWE at some point?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think Speed was in the Royal Rumble.
Oh.
Like either last year or 2 years ago.
Okay,
so
fair.
I think there are brands that are taking advantage of influencers who have strong relationships with the audience. And I'll say that Speed and Kai, and there are a few others as well, but they really come to mind as folks who understand that there is a relationship and honestly give a lot back by talking to their fans and really being in direct engagement with them a lot of the time. Do you think brands can or should do more
to
use parasocial relationships?
I do understand the angle in wanting to do it. I think especially when you're a smaller brand, it's a good way to, especially if you're a founder that's not wanting to be the face of the brand, it's a good way to create that community and like get that likeness. But it's a slippery slope either way, right? Because you're bringing in all these people to like, what happens when, because usually with the creators, they're still doing their own content, right? What happens when that creator on their own page piss off your audience? Then how does that impact your brand? And
there's a lot of risk.
There's a lot of risk, and it's once again that way of like, I almost find it kind of greedy in some senses, where brands want to play off a specific influencer. Like I do look on it differently when a brand wants to make like a show, because they're still in production, right?
Yeah.
But you bringing in a creator or a specific creator to run your social so you can play off their likeness, I don't like that.
I agree, but I think it works best in like a short form campaign.
Agreed.
Or like an event.
Agreed.
Right? I think you bring their audience to a space, share that space with them, and then it ends.
Yeah.
I think having that solid conclusion is really important.
Agreed.
Because bringing them in and just having them like vaguely be around, I think doesn't serve anyone's real purpose.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
I agree. And I think where it almost feels like it started for me is like, you do have a lot of influencers where after a while of influencing, they do want something that feels more like a job. So it makes sense as a brand, right? It's a perfect collaboration to like do it and like see how it works. That creator probably loves your brand. You probably love them. Like the values align, right? But it's again this thing of like, there are some cases where it's very organic and then other cases where it's very forced. And that's the issue that I guess we'll always have. Some brands do these partnerships, they're amazing. It could have been that person ends up working there, or you even see the case where the creator creates their own business and they get to play off their likeness to build a brand that ultimately they can step back from where they're the face and like do whatever, right? But in those cases, I think when it's organic, it works. When it's fabricated, you can tell, and it's kind of like, that's a big turn off to me.
Yeah, my biggest fear is that there are some brands that'll use and build their own AI influencers.
Yeah.
And try and run it that way. Like that is.
Yeah.
I think we'll see that within the next year.
And it's cheaper, so they're immediately.
And I hate it so much. Hey, you know what? We just gotta keep being real with people, and we just gotta rock with real people.